in our desire to acquire it, we must work hard at pursuing it. It doesn't just come. We don't just pray tonight and wake up tomorrow as wise people. Look at Proverbs 2, verses 1 through 6. I've underlined 8 verbs in there at the beginning and in the first 4 verses. And those are accept, store up, turning, applying, call, cry, look, and search. The objects of these activities are the teacher's commands and words and wisdom, understanding, insight, and discernment. All this implies that effort must be expended for one to become wise. Getting wisdom involves openness, retention, hearing with the ear, applying with the heart, requesting, and diligent searching. If you notice below that, there are 3 ifs in verses 1, 3, and 4, followed by then in verse 5, which introduces the result. This means that seeking and valuing wisdom leads to a person's understanding or discerning the fear of the Lord and knowing God. So it says, if you accept my words, if you call out for insight, if you look for it as silver, then you will understand the fear of the Lord. The Lord is the source of wisdom. As a person fears the Lord, she gains wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. James also tells us that wisdom should be practiced. Look at the last Bible passage in there. In James chapter 1, verses 22 through 25. He says that it's not enough to pursue it, to work hard at it, to work hard at getting it. Once we do all that, then we must practice it in order to be considered wise. The command is clear. Do not merely listen to the word, do what it says. We must become doers of the word and not just hearers. People who go from sermon to sermon, Sunday to Sunday, or Bible study to Bible study, there's a word nowadays used for people like that. It's called sermon sippers. They go from one doctrinal dessert to the other. They kind of flitter around like a hummingbird. And they enjoy, it's wonderful to hear a good sermon. It just renews your soul. The Greek word for deceiving here is paralogizomai. It means to cheat or deceive by false reasoning. What James is saying here is that these people are deceiving themselves by their false reasoning. They think that by going from sermon to sermon, they are doing what is necessary by showing up at church on Sundays. But in fact, they're really deceiving themselves because what they learn, they're not applying. So it really is of no benefit to them. What he's trying to bring across is that hearing the word and understanding it is only the beginning of your spiritual growth. I was thinking about this and I thought, okay, what would be a good illustration of doing this? And those of you who know me know that after my passion for God and my family, my second passion is everything kitchen. I love to cook, I love to bake, I love to entertain. You come to my house, you don't leave hungry. And along this, a lot of people who have liked what I've cooked have asked me for recipes. And I can't tell you how many recipes I've given away. But you know what I've found? That for every 10 recipes I give people, only one of them actually makes it. The other 9 are happy to have those recipes in their recipe books, but they never try it. So really, it's of no use to them, just having the recipe sitting there. So in a sense, just hearing the word and understanding it and saying, yes, that's true, is the same thing as having a recipe that you never use. So it's really of no good to you. So why should we want wisdom? That's point C on your handout. We should want wisdom to enjoy its benefits and its blessings, and to avoid the consequences of rejecting it. On one hand, we should want to acquire wisdom because it provides all sorts of moral benefits and blessings in our lives. If you read Proverbs chapters 1 through 4, it's chock full of benefits, blessings, and the value of wisdom. I highly recommend that you spend some time there. Wisdom in these chapters is described as keeping one from evil, contributing to holiness, protecting like a shield, making one just and fair, and giving us discretion among many others. On the other hand, rejecting wisdom or ignoring wisdom and not learning from its rebuke has serious consequences. We usually think, oh well, if I don't have wisdom, I'll still have a life. It may not be as rich as someone's who has, but there's no downside to it. Well, the scriptures teach us, especially in Proverbs 1, verses 22 through 33. I don't have that on your handout, but I'll just read a small section of it because it was a very long part. But I do recommend all of you looking at these warnings against rejecting wisdom. It shows that when we do reject wisdom, we will have serious consequences in our life. As troubles come, which they inevitably do to all of us, wisdom that we have rejected previously will refuse to help us. I hadn't ever thought about this before. When I really started studying this, it hit me right in the face. And listen to this. These are the words that wisdom uses. She says, "Since you ignored all my advice and would not accept my rebuke, I in turn will laugh at your disaster and I will mock when calamity overtakes you." And I'm thinking, that sounds terribly cruel. You don't want to help me, wisdom. That's fine, but why would you laugh at me and why would you mock me in my pain? Well, as I got deeper into this to try and figure out what this all meant, I realized that it simply means that spurned advice will haunt its rejecter when calamity comes. So spurned advice, when we say no to advice, we will be haunted by what that wisdom was when we are in the middle of trouble. Those words will come back to us and we're going to say, we should have listened to that. We should have done that. That's why wisdom says, I will laugh at you and I will not help you. So when wisdom called, they refused. Now they will call and she will not answer. When a person who is considered, a person who has earlier rejected wisdom wants to change things and start over and live wisely or follow the wise path, this scripture teaches that his or her efforts are of no avail. Well, that was something new for me. I always thought that, well, it's never too late. I can always turn and say, I want to acquire wisdom and I want to do the right thing. Unfortunately, the scripture teaches us that wisdom rejected cannot be reclaimed after she has withdrawn her invitation. Because to reject wisdom's call is to hate knowledge and to refuse the fear of the Lord. Ouch. Again, to reject wisdom's call is to hate knowledge and to refuse the fear of the Lord. So we will suffer the consequences of our actions when we reject wisdom in the first place. We will reap what we sow. Think of a person who has anger issues, and they don't do much about it. The way they look at it is, once in a while I get upset, I yell, I throw things, and I hit people, but then I calm down. I'm really a nice person. Well, think of what happens if that person pushes someone and